I published my first book of music arrangements. This is something I've been super excited about for a long time. I just wanted to answer a few questions that people have been asking me about the process behind it, my personal timeline, how did it all come to be. I'm going to share some marketing strategies and just my personal thoughts on publishing versus self-publishing, right? So if you've always wanted to get your own music arrangements published and shared and out there, I'm going to share my personal story. So maybe this will help answer some of your questions. If I leave anything out you've been wondering, you're welcome to ask anything you like in the comments below. Yeah, I haven't gotten the first check yet, but I'll maybe keep you updated down in the comments of how much money I've been making off of just one book and how that's been working out for me. So let's dive in talking about my timeline. So just to break it down, first it's mid 2024 about, and I first started my first arrangement that's in the book. I actually wrote back in 2021. It was the spring of 2021. We're having a big music celebration for our university president. I'm the organ professor at Olivet Nazarene University, and they wanted to open with a big victorious organ piece based on the hymn tune St. Anne, which you might know as "O God, Our Help in Ages Past." It was our university president's favorite hymn, and I wanted something really big, victorious, this really big celebration. I couldn't find anything I really liked, so I thought, I'll just write my own arrangement and perform it myself. So that's what I did back in spring 2021. Fast forward to summer of 2022. So over a year later, I was working on recording my first CD, which I'll actually have links in the description below if you actually are curious about my organ CD. This was my first CD. I recorded it at Olivet, the university I teach at, and I included that arrangement in there. So in the process of recording for that, I set up a Kickstarter to help offset the cost of recording, mastering, distribution, all of that stuff. And the Kickstarter was hugely successful, in part thanks to the top tier award for supporting me was your own arrangement. You could commission me based on any hymn tune you'd like, and I would arrange it for you. And so I ended up with 2 people doing that. They were big, victorious pieces. So now I had these 3 big pieces, were quite victorious, very fanfare, very cool pieces. And I was in search of what to do with them. So fast forward to now winter of 2022 into 2023 when these pieces were done. So I reached out to Jane Holstein, who was an Olivet alum a few years before me, and she was a big publisher with Hope Publishing. And she was also the music director at a church at that time I had worked with quite a bit. So I knew her pretty well, and so I asked what to do, and she wasn't working at Hope at that time, so she said to reach out to Joel Rainey, who is a big name in the arranging world. And he said, unfortunately, Hope wasn't doing organ pieces at the time. So that's the first kind of tip is make sure if you're going to send these out blindly, your arrangements out blindly, make sure they're actually publishing those pieces. And so I was just talking to Joel Rainey kind of as a friend. I had met him a few times through Jane, through the church, because he had worked with Jane there. And so he loved the arrangements, but Hope wasn't publishing organ pieces at the time due to COVID, and just the demand for them wasn't as high. So next I reached out to my friend Marianne Kim, who I had met when I was a grad student at Northern Illinois University. She was completing her master's in jazz piano and in organ performance. So she was a very accomplished musician. She is a big name in the arranging world now too. So I reached out to her and said, hey, do you like these arrangements? I see you've published a lot with Lorenz Publishing. Could you let me know who to contact at Lorenz and see if they're any good? And I was just really looking for some feedback, some recommendation to try to see, are the pieces good? Do I need to change anything? How might I approach Lorenz? And she just forwarded the email for me. She took my pieces, she sent them to her editor at Lorenz and said, hey, this guy's good. These pieces are good. You should publish them. And thanks to that personal recommendation, I got an in suddenly. I wasn't just sending them blindly and they sit on a desk for who knows how long. I had a sudden in. Somebody that Lorenz was relying on as a arranger and composer said my pieces were good. So I got that personal recommendation, which is a huge part of it. So they liked what they saw and said, we don't have much use for just 3 pieces. Do you have more? And so I said, not yet, but I could get you some more. So what happened then, fast forward to then summer 2023 by this point, and again, just to backtrack, I started my first piece in 2021, so this is almost 2 years later. So then in the summer of 2023, I arranged 4 more pieces. And honestly, I had to do this while my son was napping. I had a 1-year-old at the time. He's now 2. Just an absolute joy to be around. But I could only really arrange during the summer during his nap time. So, maybe I would get an hour or maybe 2 if I was lucky. And if I was in the middle of some grandiose thought that was just perfect, and then he woke up. So I had to try to remember it, write it down the next day maybe. So I wrote 4 pieces over the summer. And then I had my book. So then fast forward to then December 2023, I got the first draft from the copyist, that the engraver that they use with Lorenz, to go through with a fine-tuned comb, make sure there's nothing that I wanted different. So the copyist engraver did just fantastic work. There was really nothing that I needed to change other than just some personal edits after seeing it with fresh eyes. The cover designer was, funny enough, a Olivet alum as well, just a few years before me. So I didn't have to design this cover or even name the book at all. The editor that I worked closely with throughout the process was Carson Kuhlman, who is a really big name. He has just a lot of music that he's recorded, performed, a very active organist performer, and a very active composer as well. He has over 300 pieces that he has composed. Carson is also the composer in residence at the Memorial Church in Harvard University. He was a delight to work with throughout the whole process, very encouraging, a lot of great ideas. Also during this time, December 2023, going into 2024, I had to send in 3 recordings out of the whole 7. So I recorded 3 pieces of me performing them, which they use for their website and their marketing. The print copy was then available spring 2024, available on their website. They sent me my 2 free copies that I get to have. I signed a contract around that time, and really just the contract saying that they own a lot of the rights, and I get 10% of the sales, which seems like just a little bit, doesn't it? But really, that's industry standard. And if you think about it, thanks to their marketing, their good work making the book look good inside and out, I think I'm going to make way more than 10 times the sales that I would make on my own. So I have a lot of thanks to all of the work they are doing. They go to conventions, try to sell the books. They are marketing it on the website. They have it in their magazine that everyone's looking at. What are the new organ pieces? What are the arrangements they're looking for? And so I'm going to make so much more than I would on my own. My future goal that also helps drive sales is on my second YouTube channel, Josh Ring Music. I'm going to record some of these pieces and put them up there to try to get the word out as well, in addition to all the great work they're doing. So I want to take a moment and just talk about bringing your best at all times is kind of the key to all of this. So, for instance, I kind of met Jane Holstein through the organ technician I had at Olivet. He was also the organ technician, kind of organ tuner at Jane Holstein's church. So that led to me subbing a little bit, which they were impressed with the work I did. So that led to then them hiring me as the associate for music ministry. And so I got to know Jane Holstein pretty well. And then through that, I got to know Joel Rainey. And so then with Marianne Kim, we were friends in grad school. We're in the same organ studio. We helped each other out with homework assignments and just led to a really nice friendship. And we performed quite a bit together. And it was years later that this friendship then developed into her recommending me to Lorenz Publishing. So you never know what performances or friendships or just people that you run into, what effect they're going to have on your life years and years later. So just always bring your best, right? As a musician, that's kind of standard to help you get the gig, get the next gig, and from there, word of mouth. It's really just half of what are you as a musician and half of what are you as a person. Like, people want to work with their friends and people they like, right? So then, last little thoughts on self-publishing versus publishing. When you're just starting out, try as much as you can, I think, to get noticed through a publisher, right? You might have to send stuff out blindly. You might not be as lucky as I was to know people in the business. So that maybe that's step one of try to make friendships with people that are in the business. Do a little self-promotion. From there, you might just have to send things blindly and just really pay attention to what are they currently publishing. The more you know about what they're currently doing, the better chance you have of knowing what they might want in the future. And then you could write stuff that matches that. Or you might have to do some research to find what are the companies that want the stuff that you've already written. right? And you might have to send stuff out, only send to one publisher at a time. That's a big rule. Only send to one person at a time. Wait for either the acceptance or the rejection, because you don't want to send it to 5 people and they all say yes and say, oh, you're in a pickle then, and people won't like you for that. All right. And again, that 10% fee that you get from the sales, again, might seem really low, but I think you'll get 10 times plus the amount of sales, so you'll really reap the benefits. And I think people over time, if you start working with a lot of publishers, they start to notice you that you've got some big pieces with a lot of publishers that are going to notice you otherwise. And then if you have some big pieces that you are really proud of, then you can maybe sell them on your own personal website or something through Shopify, something. So to get your music out there through self-publishing could be a strategy down the road. If no one is taking a long time through trying to get with a real publisher, self-publish on in the meantime. You never know what will happen down the road with pieces. Put stuff on YouTube, get your stuff out there as much as you can, perform it as much as you can, get to know groups, performers as much as you can so that they can promote and play your pieces as well. So again, I'll have a link in the description to the book if you want to check it out. I'm really proud of it. I think it's a really good first book, and I'm really excited to have some other books published down the road. So again, if you have questions, feel free to ask anything in the comments about the whole process, or if you want help trying to get your stuff published, what little I know, I'm happy to share. So just ask. But thanks for listening. Have a wonderful day.